So I had a request to talk about city attacks. State versus state is coming up this coming Saturday, and that means that we will be able to do city attacks for the opposing state, and they will be able to do city attacks to us. So I'm going to start by talking about the scouting report because it helps explain why city attacks are not just cut and dried based on I'm stronger than you, so I would win if I attack your city. The first thing is, looking at this report, you would see that this guy is at 156.7. I'm at 500. So you would think, oh, I would easily take him out. And I very well might. I'm not going to try, but I very well might because I am so much stronger than him. But right below his power, you'll see here on the right, it says 156.7, and right below that, it says 35,000, 35,000. That's his barricade strength. So right now, his barricade is at max strength. So before I do any damage to his city or his troops, I have to break through his barricade. And in order to do that, I'm going to lose troops. The next thing on this list is what is lootable. So when you're attacking cities, it makes sense to attack cities that are going to give you some loot. So he does have resources I could loot from him if I wanted. Something that's important to note is SVS and BIA, you only get points for attacking furnaces within 3 furnace levels of yours. So I am an FC 8. So let's go and look and see what his troops are. So his troops are FC 4 and FC 3. So I know he's an FC 4, which means as an FC 8, if I were to attack him, I wouldn't get points for SVS. I would just lose troops. So it doesn't make sense. You could, if you're an FC 5, you could easily take out a level 28 furnace. But it doesn't make sense to do it because you are going to lose some troops, and also you're not going to get points for it. So don't do that. It needs to be within 3 levels of yours. So as an FC 8, I could attack an FC 7, I could attack an FC 6, but I could not attack Emole because he is an FC 4, and that is 4 levels below me. You see where it says troops total 786. If I click on that, it will give me the percentages of how many, the percentage of each troop type. One of the things to remember about troop types, and sometimes it's not really clear to people the difference between an infantry versus lancer versus marksman. So if you think about an old-time war movie where they were using lancers or spears and bow and arrows and shields, you'll think of infantry as the guys who run up and hold the shields and they line them all up into like kind of a flat surface. That's the infantry doing that. They're sturdy folks who hold the shields and protect everybody behind them by keeping those shields where they're supposed to be. The lancers are the spearmen, and often in old-timey battle, they didn't actually throw the spear. Sometimes they did, but a lot of times what they did is they took those lances, they're really long lances, and they would go and they would stick the lances between the shields. So as people ran up to try to get between the shields, break through the shields, they would run into the lance and they would spear themselves. And then of course you have the marksmen, which are archers, which have their bows and arrows back behind the lancers and are shooting their bow and arrows up and over the lancers and infantry and shields and hitting the bad guy on the other side of those shields. So that's the different role. And that's, so when you are looking at like who is the most expendable, your infantry is going to be the ones that are going to be like they have to be strong enough to hold off the bad guys. But marksmen, they're not going to have any, if the infantry get broken through, those marksmen are basically standing there naked, right? Like they've got very little armor because they have to be able to pull the bow and arrow. They're in trouble if they break through the infantry. So if we look at his infantry, he really focuses heavily on his marksmen, because this is not somebody he uses for battle. This is an account he uses for bear. He does bear with this account, so he has substantially more archers than he does anything else. The next thing is, you can see he has his strongest heroes. Not sure why Lynn, who appears to be his strongest archer, doesn't have gear. He might have another archer who was not in the city when I scouted it, probably gathering, maybe. And then it gives the actual troop number, and you can see the furnace level of each of those troop types. And then it gives the stats. Now, as I said before, the stats are not necessarily the whole story, because my stats are substantially better than his stats. I don't know if I have a recent report. I do not. Well, here. So you can tell from this report this is from when I was attacked and made the video of the guy sending the one troop attack. You can see my stats are substantially better than Emo Lay's. But again, I'm probably going to lose troops because he has a barricade and he's going to have 786 troops. And I'm only going to have, between 150 and 220, depending on what your march size is, right? So I don't, generally, as a rule, I don't attack cities. I will sometimes if it's a necessity. I don't enjoy attacking cities. I feel bad because I'm a softie, and I don't want to be destructive to things that people have worked months and months or years on, right? But last SVS, one of my alliance members, he attacked a city, and he said I could use his report. So thank you, Zed. Okay, so I mentioned before that the little crossed swords, which if you look at the picture, Zed's profile picture there on the left, you can see the little crossed swords in the top left-hand corner where the cat just appeared. And that shows you he was on the attack. And then if you look at the other person's profile picture, you'll see a little shield in the top right corner, and that shows that they were defense. And you can see Zed was defeated. The next thing you'll see is that after the attack, Zed lost 6.5 million in power, and the other person lost 8 million in power. And you look at the troop size, Zed only had 153,000 troops. The other person had 1.8, plus the barricade. So Zed's 153,000 troops are not going to break through and immediately do a substantial amount of damage when they have 1.8 million troops plus a barricade. It kind of goes back to that, which would you rather do? Fight off 100 feral rats or one 10-foot rat? Like, right? So you immediately think, I would rather fight the little rats, but then you think about 100 rats all attacking you at once, and you would have to kill all 100 before they got you, and they would all be coming at you at the same time. Would that be harder than defeating a 10-foot tall rat? Like, it's one of those things, right? Because the more you have, the harder it is to fight them all at one time. So Zed had 53,000 in troop losses. Again, barricade, 1.8 million troops. He was going to have losses. This was SVS. He did get 90% of those back, but not all of them. And then 15,000 were injured, and then 84,000 were only lightly injured, which means they would be available again at a future time. Then the next thing is the bonus source, and if Zed had called a rally on this, which anytime you're gonna fight a city, like if you have somebody in your state who is toxic and y'all decide you need to burn them, you should always rally. You should always rally a city. During SVS, most places don't allow you to rally a city because it's not considered sporting. But if you're just having to eliminate a bad guy for some reason, then you're going to want to rally them. So let's say that Zed had called a rally and I joined the rally. Well, my stats are substantially, I'm more powerful than Zed, so I would be listed as the bonus source, and then all of the stats and everything we see from here on out would be mine. The heroes are going to be mine, the stats are going to be mine, because I'm stronger and I'm in his rally, so he gets to copy off of me. He gets to use my strength to his advantage, even though he's captain. By the same token, if I was reinforcing the guy on the right, we would probably still have his stats and stuff, but if I had my strongest soldiers there, especially if I was in his barricade, I could potentially be listed as his bonus source, because again, they would use my stats because I'm helping defend his city and I'm stronger. So even though Zed lost, you can see his gear is substantially better. If you click on any piece of gear, you can see the breakdown of the percentage of attack and defense and the lethality and health and how good the charms are. And you can tell that every single piece of Zed's gear is better than every single piece of the opponent's gear. You can look at the heroes and see that every single piece of Zed's hero gear is better than every single piece of the opponent's gear. You can look at the expert comparison and see that Zed has a higher Romulus and a higher Valaria than any of the opponents. So far, everything we've looked at shows Zed being stronger, but he's still lost because, again, the number of troops plus the barricade. Then we get down here to the number of troops, and we see that Zed had FC5 troops and the other person had FC4 troops. But again, substantially more troops. All of that red represents their troops, and the blue in that bar graph represents Zed's troops. And then, as we would expect, because Zed's gear and heroes are better, his stats are better than the other guys. And if we click this little exclamation point right here where it says stat bonuses, it's going to show you all the bonuses that they had on when they had this battle. So you can see Zed had his pets on. It clearly says which pet skill was on. And the other guy had on some 10% bonuses. It's the city bonuses for territory defender attack and territory defender defense. So these are some of the bonuses that would show up on that page if you have these activated, right? They would show up on that page. And then on the next page, we're going to see each of the heroes, the main heroes, the strongest heroes, and which of their skills was triggered and how many kills each of those skills got. And we would again expect lancers and archers to tend to get the most kills per number of troops. So, we can see here that Gwen got the most kills over Hector and over Reyna. And then here we just get a breakdown of the kills by troop type for each of the participants. So if I was in this, if Zed and I had rallied, I would be listed here, and you can see my breakdown as well. And you can see that Zed started with 153,000 troops. He lost 66.5 in power. He had 91.7 kills. And that includes all troop types. You can see if we do 62 plus 19 plus 10, the troop types listed there in the bottom chart, that's going to equal 91.725. I'm not going to do the math. If you doubt them, you can do the math. And then he had 53,000 troop losses. So he had that many of his troops die. And then you can look and see the same information for the defender. So this just kind of helps you understand where you're weak at. So looking here at his report, his infantry is pretty strong. His lancer attack is strong. His marksman attack is strong. Probably because he has a bonus, attack bonus. Yep, see right there. Attack bonus, pet skill 6%. Lethality bonus is 5%. His marksman health is pretty low. His lancer lethality was pretty low. And his infantry lethality is pretty low. So his lancer health and his marksman health is maybe something he wants to start building up slowly. But again, the primary goal of them is to be lethal and have a really strong attack. You want them to kill people. The infantry, we want them to be hardy people who can hold that shield up and keep the marksmen and lancers safe so that people can't break through. So we really want to focus on infantry health and infantry defense. And then we want to focus on marksman attack and marksman lethality, and lancer attack and lancer lethality. So that is kind of a quick rundown. I say quick, I don't know how long it actually took, probably longer than I planned. But as always, if you have any questions about anything I've talked about, you can send me a message in TikTok or YouTube.
Without a face.
Depending on where you saw the video, or you can always find me in game. I am in Red, the Red Alliance in 3036, and my name is Joan Dark.